be much happier to wake up in the morning, right? That seems like a good solid thing. But the later I stayed up and the more tired I got, the more negative I was. So then I finally just gave up. I went to bed and I woke up the next morning, still not really digging life or where I was at. And so I went, what can I do to better help myself be okay? Like, what do I need to do? You know, that started out as a backpack. I'm not sure where it went. That's fine. I want an open backpack though. So just know we've got this open backpack right here. So when you, part of your routine, so you say your declarations and you're feeling really good about your declarations. And then you are kind of like, okay, well, I'm feeling a little bit better about today, but I'm still really not digging what happened yesterday or the day before or the day before. And I'm really not looking forward to today. What can I do? I would invite you to close your eyes for a minute and envision a backpack in front of you. So you're standing at this table, there's this backpack in front of you, and it's open. And you look inside of this backpack, it should be at a table, and you look inside of this backpack, and inside this backpack you have frustration. In this backpack you have anger. In this backpack you feel unsupported. So all of the emotions that you're carrying around inside of you that you don't know what to do with, you envision in this backpack. And you just think, you know, what don't I need today? If I can pick anything that I really don't need to carry around today, what can I choose to not carry around? And you get to pick one. Maybe it's your frustration. You're like, you know, that was like 3 weeks ago. I really don't need to hold on to that anymore. I think I can let it go. So you pull the frustration out of your backpack and you set it on the table. And then you go, ooh, there's this nice open space in my backpack now. What's something positive that I could put in my backpack? What's one good thing that I could stick in there instead? And so instead then of having tons of emotions that are just swirling around you, that are trying to control you, you instead get to say, I'm going to corral you. And so you pull out one of those negative things and you put one of those positive things in. And you don't have to do it all at once. A lot of times we think, well, as soon as I see the bad things, I just need to get all of the bad things out. Do you know how exhausting that is and how impossible that is to do? Because your vagal nerve over there has been looking for stuff to be in fight or flight mode for decades. And so for you to just tell this random nerve in your brain, I'm just going to clear out all of the bad stuff right now and you have to listen to me, it's not going to get you anywhere, because then it will just fight back, and instead of fighting your surroundings, it's fighting you, and then it's a bad day. So instead just say, I choose to have control over one thing. And I choose to control to put down one bad thing and pick up one good thing and carry that around with me today. Because a lot of life is choosing to have intention. And is choosing that life is not happening to you, you are happening to life. And I kind of like that idea. I like this idea that life is sort of just this thing going on around me, and that I get to happen to life. And I get to put good stuff into life. And I get to influence someone for good. And I get to change something to be a little different than it would have been otherwise. But if I don't choose that with intention, then life happens to me. So the last two things that I want to share with you, and then I will give you time for questions, is I keep promising that I'm going to talk about the vagal social nerve, so I am. So I talked about the vagal nerve, that the vagal nerve is in charge of the sympathetic system, which is your fight or flight, and your parasympathetic, which is freeze and numb. There is a third part. And this one I'm going to give you the name for just because it's a really cool name. It's the ventral nerve. Woo, that's not how you spell nerve, in case you were wondering. So your ventral nerve is a subset of your vagal nerve, and it controls your social ability. So it controls your ability to engage with other people. So as we're looking at this, first we had you're out on the savannah or prairie or whatever, and you see a thing moving in the bushes, and you freak out of your mind, and that's your vagal nerve, that's your sympathetic system. And then you have your parasympathetic system that says we now live in a town with cops. They'll protect us let's slow down and be calm. And then you have your ventral nerve, which says, oh, you are now surrounded by people all the time, and you need to be nice. So let's teach you how to engage with people. And so these kind of evolved over time as we were in different social groups and as we were in different places. But what's very interesting is your ventral nerve, your social nerve, is what resets your sympathetic and your parasympathetic systems. So when your sympathetic system goes, we must fight or we must run, and your parasympathetic says freeze, your social nerve says, let's actually process what's going on so that we can engage with people. So instead of just reacting, let's step back and let's figure out what people think and what's going on. And there's a really cool way actually that you can trick your body to access your social nerve. And I found this was fascinating. So either you're ready to fight, you're ready to flight, or you're freezing. And inside of you, you're like, I am an agent unto myself, and I happen to life. Life doesn't happen to me. And so you go, okay, let's process then what I'm actually thinking and feeling. Let's actually figure out what's going on. So you're gonna wanna watch. You're gonna think I'm weird. Just go with it. So one of the ways to re-engage your ventral or social nerve is to clap your hands. You rub them together. Think Karate Kid, that's what's happening. You rub your hands together, and then you hug yourself. And then you touch your neck and your legs, and you hug yourself. Because then that resets your body to start thinking in terms of other people. And resets your nerve to actually go, ooh, I'm a thinking, feeling being. I engage with other people, I work with other people. And when your brain moves out of the fight or flight or freeze, then it moves into, ooh, I talk, I communicate, I'm a problem solver. Because in order to work with other people, we have to problem solve. Because you look at somebody else and you go, okay, they have this look on their face and they have this stance, so I'm gonna respond like this because this I think is what's going on. Or they said this and this is what's going on, so I think I say this. So you trick your brain into going, oh, I'm with people, I need to problem solve people. But there's no people around, so you problem solve yourself. And you're able to step out of what caused the freeze or step out of what caused the fight. So now you can actually figure out the emotions that are coming behind it. Now, if you'll remember when I very first started, which was about an hour ago, so we've covered a lot of ground. It's okay if I might not even fully remember what I said. So I'll sum up. When we're in this cycle of the ups and downs, if we never process what happened on this down, we bury it. So something happens here. We bury it on that one because we don't want what happened there to cloud over what happened here. But then it's bad again. And so everything that happened here comes on this one. And then we don't process it here because it's good. So we bury it again. And then something happens over here, and everything that happened over the last two times comes here. And so your body is going to keep freaking you out to remind you that there's still stuff there. Which kind of stinks, because if you just want to let it go and you just want to move on, your body's like, until you actually acknowledge what's here and acknowledge what happened, we're gonna stay. Because our body, our physiology holds on to stuff until we intentionally let it out and we intentionally put it down. And so that's why the backpack is so important, because then you are physically choosing in that moment when you're triggered and stuff is happening, you physically choose, okay, this was there from a long time ago, I'm gonna choose to put it down. Does that mean you don't have to feel it? No. The hardest thing about life is that we are thinking, feeling beings, and you still have to feel it. And so that brings the very last thing that I want to teach you guys that can help you in this process. And I'm doing it in red so that it will evoke thoughts of burning. So we're in this moment. Something that someone did or said to us gets us and gets us into fight or flight mode. And we're like, ooh, this is not good. I don't like how I'm feeling and I'm angry and I'm sad and I'm frustrated and I think that life is awful. You step back a second and you do your little hand rubby thing and you're like, okay, what just happened and why do I actually feel that way? So you've now invited yourself to go, why do I feel that way? And all of this stuff starts swimming around in your head and you're like, I have no idea what's there. You get a piece of paper and you will put a piece of paper in front of you. You can also do this on a phone, like you can do a text draft and just type all the stuff that's in your head in a text and then delete it. You can also do it on a computer and just type out everything that you're feeling and then delete it. But for the really big stuff, like the really big painful stuff that just keeps coming up and triggering you everywhere, a write and burn is best. So you'll get a piece of paper and you'll get your favorite writing utensil. Make it be something that writes really smoothly because you're going to want to write and not have weird stuff on the page. So just write.